nature of motivation. The definition nature of motivation is related to mental state of a person by the psychological concept. Nature of motivation is never-ending process. Motivation is important till the existence of the management. It is dynamic in nature. The needs of a person arise continuously one after another. Motivation is the cause and effect of human satisfaction and also may be positive or negative on the part of employer. Inspiration and encouragement to inspire and encourage the subordinates work in such a way that could perform their job in efficient way.
Expectancy theory. The theory that motivation will be high when workers believe that high level of effort lead to high performance and that high performance leads to the attainment of desired outcomes. The second expectancy, a person's perception about the extent to which effort results in a certain level of performance. Second, instrumentality. A person's perception about the extent to which a performance at a certain level results in the attainment of outcomes. Last but not least, balance. How desirable each of the available outcomes from the job is to a person.
There are 5 types of need theories. The first one is Maslow hierarchy of need theory. The first one is self-actualization. That means the need to realize one's full potential as a human being. The second one is esteem need, self-respect, status and reputation. And the third one, love need, love, friendship and affection. The fourth is safety need, physical safety and emotional security. And the last one is psychological need, which means the most basic human physical need. The second need theory is McClellan acquired need theory. There are 3 components from this theory, which is the first one, achievement, desire to excel, to do something better or more efficiently, to achieve excellence in challenging tasks. The second component is power. Power means desire to be responsible for other people, to influence their behavior or to control them. The third one is affiliation, desire for friendly and warm relation with another people. McClellan believed that we are not born with our needs. Rather, we learn from them, for the culture from our life experience. A well-balanced individual achievement, affiliation and power are of equal size. The third need theory is Herzberg two-factor theory from dissatisfying factor and satisfying factor. Motivating factor. What will make my people satisfied? The first one is achievement, recognition, the work itself, responsibility, and investment and growth. And hygiene factor. What will make my people dissatisfied? The first one is pay and security, work condition, interpersonal relationship, company policy and supervisor. The fourth need theory is Alderfer ERG theory. There are 3 components of this theory, which is the first one, growth need, the need for self-development and creative and productive work. Relentless need, the need to have a good interpersonal relation, to share thought and emotion and have a good communication. And the last one is existence need, that need to have complete basic needs like a food, shelter, water, clothing, secure and safe and good environment. And the last one need theory is other needs. People will be more motivated if all the things that we the need increase. For example, people work life are balanced with their time to spend with family. This will make them will be more motivated. The second one is, according to research, being exposed with the nature and green environment has many good effects to people's life. Those who are not exposing with nature, it will give some bad impact to their performance. Thus, having some time to see the nature, feel the refresh of air in forest may be another important need.
Equity theory. Equity is a theory of motivation that focuses on people's perception of their fairness of their work outcomes relative for their work input. Equity exists when a person perceives his or her outcome input ratio to be equal to a reference outcomes input ratio. Under condition of equity, if a referent receives more outcome than you, then the referent contributes proportionally more input to the organization. Therefore, both have the same output or input ratio. When equity exists, people are motivated to continue contributing their current levels of inputs in order to receive their current levels of outcomes. Inequity exists when workers' outcome or input ratio is equal to a reference. So there is two types of inequity, which is overpayment inequity and underpayment inequity. So overpayment inequity exists when a person perceives that his or her outcome input ratio is greater than that of a reference. Workers feel they are getting more outcomes than they should for their inputs. So meanwhile, for underpayment inequity exists when a people owns underpayment inequity exists when a person own outcome input ratio is perceived to be less than that of a reference. Workers feel they are not getting the outcomes they should for their inputs. So, alright, ways to restore equity. When people experience underpayment inequity, they may be motivated to lower their inputs, or they may be motivated to increase their outcomes. If changing perception does not address the perceived inequity, employees may seek employment elsewhere. When people experience overpayment inequity, they may to restore equity by changing their perception of their own or their different inputs or outcomes. Equity can be restored when people realize they are contributing more inputs than they originally thought. When expressing inequities, choosing a more appropriate reference might bring the ratio back into balance. Equity and justice in organization. And equity often labeled as a theory of distributive justice. Distributive justice refers to an employee's perception of the fairness of the distribution of outcomes such as promotion, pay, job assignments, and working conditions in an organization. There are three other forms of justice that give high motivation, which is procedural justice, interpersonal justice, and informational justice. Procedural justice refers to an employee's perception of the fairness of the procedures used to determine how to distribute outcomes in an organization. Interpersonal justice refers to an employee's perception of the fairness of the interpersonal treatment he or she receives from whoever distributes outcomes to him or her. Informational justice refers to an employee's perceptions of the extent to which his or her manager provides explanation for decisions and the procedures used to arrive at them. Okay, next, a goal setting theory. A goal is what a person is trying to accomplish through his or her efforts. Goals must be specific and difficult. Both easy and moderate goals have less motivational power than difficult goals. Specific, difficult goals motivate people to contribute greater input to their jobs, to be more persistent, and to focus their input in the right direction. When people are performing complicated and very challenging tasks, difficult goals may actually impair performance.
Learning theories. Applied to organization is that managers can increase employee motivation and performance by how they link the outcomes that employees receive to the performance of desired behavior and the attainment of goals. For learning theory has two. First is operant conditioning theory and social learning theory. For operant conditioning theory, people learn to perform behavior that lead to desired consequence and learn not to perform behavior that lead to undesired consequence. For operant conditioning theory, we have seven. First, positive first is positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, identifying the right behavior for reinforcement, extinction, punishment, and organizational behavior modification, the systematic application motivation. Okay. For positive reinforcement is gives people outcome they desire when they perform organizationally functional behaviors. For negative reinforcement, managers using negative reinforcement actually eliminate or remove undesired outcomes once the functional behavior is performed. For identifying the right behavior for reinforcement, can get into trouble if they are not careful to identify the right behaviors to reinforce behaviors that are truly functional for the organization. Doing this is not always as straightforward as it might seem. For extinction, all behavior is controlled or determined by its consequence. One way for managers to curtail the performance of dysfunctional behaviors to eliminate whatever is in reinforcing the behaviors. For punishment, administrating an undesired or negative consequence when dysfunctional behavior occurs. To avoid the unintended side effect of punishment, managers should keep in mind these guidelines. First, downplay the emotional element involved. Second, try to punish dysfunctional behavior as soon as possible after they occur. And third, try to avoid punishing someone in front of others. For organizational behavior modification, the systematic application of operant conditioning technique to promote the performance of organizationally functional behaviors and discourage the performance of dysfunctional behaviors. Organizational behavior modification have 5 steps. Step first is managers identify an important behavior. Second, managers measure the frequency with which the behavior is occurring. And third, managers determine if people know whether they should be performing the behavior and what consequence they receive when they do perform it. And fourth, managers develop and apply a strategy entailing the use of positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, punishment or extinction. And the last step is managers measure the frequency of the behavior, yes or no. And the last is managers maintain the behavior by continuing to use the strategy. For social learning theory, is a theory that takes into account to how learning and motivation are influenced by people's thought and beliefs and their observation of others people's behavior. We have three. First is vicarious learning. Vicarious learning occurs when a person moves motivated to perform a behavior by watching another person perform the behavior and be positively reinforced for doing so, also called observational learning. And second, self-reinforcement. Any desire or attractive
outcome or award that a person gives himself or herself for good performance. And third, self-efficiency. Self-efficacy. A person believes about his or her ability to perform a behavior successfully. For pay and motivation is managers can use pay to motivate employees to perform at a high level and attain their work's goals. Second, pay is used to motivate entry-level workers, first line, middle managers, and even top managers such as CEO. Pay can motivate people to perform behaviors that help an organization achieve its goals, and it can motivate people to join and remain with an organization.